Hey, okay. Let's do a little update on Don Quixote. I have just gone through a section where Don Quixote and Sancho Paz, very much more the Sancho Paz show in these sections. They get tricked or given an adventure, whichever one, by the Duke and Duchess. They're shown this giant horse. Said it's like this is going to take you to a kingdom to do battle and stuff like that. And so they blindfold him, put him on this horse. They blow bellows at him. They hold candles up to kind of give him the impression of travel, that they're flying through the sky. Um, they get through all this to the end, and Sancho Paz says, "Oh, I actually peeked underneath, and I saw stuff. I saw stuff." And like the Duke and Duchess are like, "Oh, don't spoil the thing." But no, Sancho Paz has a whole story, and it's about having seen being so close to the sky he could almost reach out and touch it, and that indeed he saw. Is it seven nanny goats, which are apparently by the footnote the constellations, and they're all multiple colors, with the seventh one being mixed color, um, and he played with them and all that. And indeed, they had to stop him because he would have probably started talking about playing with all the constellations. They would have been there forever. And it's interesting that at the end of this long thing, Don Quixote goes over and says, "Look, as much as I have my story about the cave, you've got your story about the sky. Let us both have those stories." Which is sort of one of these things of like, oh, they're both constant. They're both conscious bullshitters. They both know that they've told a tale and that it's false, and that there's no actual evidence for this and stuff like that. But and Sancho was giving Don Quixote a really hard time because he knew about Dulcinea. Like, Dulcinea, I made up the peasant girl being Dulcinea enchanted, and you said you saw her in the cave, which is obviously nonsense. And so he said, like, Don Quixote at the end of Sancho's story is like, okay, well, you've got your story about the sky, you give me my story about the cave. Which is, it's again, it's one of these things of like, how mad is Don Quixote? How simple-minded is Sancho Paz? Um, and then we get a whole thing in here where the Duke and Duchess, just for their own entertainment, are like, "Oh, we're going to give you that insula, that island to govern." And I'm sure there's going to be all trickery about that. But we have Don Quixote giving Sancho Paz a whole bunch of very kind of humane advice about how to be a good ruler. About make sure you bring compassion to when you're serving justice on the poor, but with no less justice than what you would give to the rich. Um, uh, or no, and not overly either. A lot of very kind of stuff of kind of fearing God and things like that. The footnote in there actually mentions Machiavelli. Machiavelli, who I probably kind of I thought about of the things of like the true and virtuous knight being kind of in opposition to Machiavelli. And it's one of these things of like, you think it's like, well, you're giving advice kind of pretty opposite to something like Machiavelli, but you're putting it in the words of Don Quixote, who would you listen to more? Would you listen to the chivalrous, kind of mad Don Quixote, the guy who's really doesn't have much actual worldly sense? He's a good contrast to what actually goes on. So when you get his very humane advice, is this a way of Cervantes pointing out again, yeah, this is the nice stuff we would like our rulers to have, but oh, we all know, exactly what our rulers are. They're guided by bribes, corruption, avarice, by force, all these things, which is the stuff that Machiavelli got in so much trouble for probably describing accurately, and how to kind of maneuver in that system. So that is interesting to put all these ideals in the mouth of Don Quixote, because does that make it kind of an implicit criticism of it, or like this isn't really going to work in the real world kind of thing? Like, yeah. So that's my little checkup with Don Quixote for today. We're God, we're in like 700 in the 700s somewhere. Great footnoting. All right, more videos later.